Hello everyone, Gaara here and welcome to part 16 of my Knights of the Frozen Throne card review. Today I'm gonna cover so many brand new cards, so let's get right into it. So the very first card we have here is a warrior spell, Forge of Souls. Draw 2 weapons from your deck. This card is extremely interesting and provides warrior multiple things that you need currently. Alternative ways of drawing cards, Acolyte of Pain and Slam. Right now you feel very forced to play both of these cards as the only draw mechanic in your deck. And Forge of Souls provides you not just additional draw. For example, you can just find Gorehowl as a late game card early in the game, and which is just effectively card draw, and a Vorax just to guarantee the Vorax on turn 3. I think this is very cool. I really like this card a lot. It helps you for early game consistency and gives you another draw engine. We'll definitely see play. The next card we have is another Shaman class card. It is the Snow Fury Giant. It is an 11 mana 8/8. The cost of this card gets reduced for each mana crystal you've overloaded this game. And on top of it, it has the elemental tag. Shaman has a lot of cards that overload you. Cards like Volcano, Feral Spirits, Lightning Storm, Lightning Bolt, Jade Claws, plenty of very good cards that you would auto-include in your Shaman decks. And the problem Shaman has is just to get tempo after playing those overload cards, because overload cards are supposed to give you a tempo advantage. With so many expansions being released since the beginning, and now that we don't have Tunnel Rock anymore, it seems very difficult to get tempo out of playing these overload cards. The Snow Fury Giant will really help us with getting tempo. It shouldn't be too difficult to reduce the mana cost of this card, and then if you can tempo out at 8/8, it seems very good to play cards like Volcano. I think this card will really help to make Elemental Shaman a playable deck. I really like this card. I think this will definitely see play. The next card we have is another neutral minion. It is the Night Howler. It is a 4 mana 3/4. Whenever this minion takes damage, gain +2 attack. So, as soon as this minion takes 1 damage, it becomes a 5/3, which is very underwhelming for 4 mana. The stats on this card are below average, and if you buff this card, you still have below average stats. I think this is just a filler card. It is pretty bad and will not see play. Not even in Arena this would be a good pick. The next card we have is another neutral minion. It is a 3 mana 4/4. Haldnir Frost Rider. Battlecry, freeze your other minions. I think this is a very interesting card because it is just a power creep. It is a 3 mana 4/4 and sometimes it doesn't have any drawback. And if you don't have any drawback, so just think about playing this card versus Priest. It is insane. Priest has nothing to deal with 4 attack minions. And this is basically a Misha without taunt every single time. There's a lot of control decks that don't play a lot of minions. And the way how Hearthstone works is, after you play a minion, the opponent wants to kill this minion, or will just kill this minion. So oftentimes you just play a 3 mana card without any board. So this would be just a 3 mana 4/4. I think this card is very powerful and will definitely see play in a lot of decks. And on top of it, it has great synergy with the new Reese Shaman, just to provide a lot of value with the legendary. Whenever you freeze your other minions, you will just get them all back. It's kinda like a budget Spirit Echoes. I really like this card. The next card we have is Avalanche. It is a 4 mana Shaman spell. Freeze a minion and deal 3 damage to adjacent ones. So this is a very unique effect. We have nothing similar to this card in the game because the biggest minion, or the minion in the middle, is not the minion that gets damaged by the most damage. It's not a primary target. This ignores the minion in the middle and kills the adjacent ones. So it's a very new effect that is reversed to the cards like Explosive Shot or Meteor. It's gonna be very cool if this card is played in Standard to learn to play around this new effect, where you still play around it the same way as against Meteor, where you want to place the biggest minion at the edge, because it is similar to Con of Cold and Meteor, just because of the effect that adjacent minions get damaged by it. But it's still a very interesting card. I'm not quite sure how good this is yet. Shaman lacks flexible removal spells right now. We only have Jade Lightning and Tidal Surge is really not the greatest card. This can take out some smaller minions. Maybe it's not flexible enough, because if the opponent has 2 smaller minions, you can only freeze one and kill the other one. So I'm not quite sure if this card is good enough. It definitely has synergy with the freeze effect shaman or the freeze synergy shaman. In that deck you would definitely play this card, but in a normal control shaman or an aggressive shaman I don't really see this card being played, because it can't go face. Cool card, not quite sure about the power level of this card yet though. Requires further testing. The next card we have is another neutral legendary. It is Arthur's. It is a 4 mana 2/2 beast, death rattle, add a random death knight card to your hand. So it has great synergy with Enzov, it has beast synergy with Hunter and Beast Druid, wherever you need a beast, like for Curator, very interesting. And in the bottom left you can see, I think 6 of them are really good in every situation, and two of them are not that great. The 2 that I don't really like as much are the Army of the Dead and the Doom Pact, but the other 6 ones are insane. So this card is very good, can see play in many different archetypes, powerful card, will definitely see play. The next card we have is Furnace Fire Colossus. It is a 6 mana 6/6. Battlecry, discard all weapons from your hand and gain their stats. So if you have multiple weapons in your hand, you can buff this guy to whatever. If you, let's say, just for fun, randomly have 2 Gorehounds in your hand for whatever reason, you would buff this card plus 14 attack and plus 2 health because of the durability. This would become a 28 for 6 mana. I'm not quite sure if this card is playable yet, but I can see this card, if it is playable, to be played in a Pirate Warrior deck, for example, where you play a lot of weapons. If you're just stuck with too many weapons, you will never have the time to get value out of them. So you just play this guy, just eat all the weapons if you have already a big weapon equipped. Let's say you already buffed a weapon with upgrades and Bloodsail Cultists, so you never will have the time to play your Arcanite Reapers. Then you just play this guy and end the game rather quickly. This card might be a gimmicky card, but might be a playable card. Uncertain yet if it is playable. The next card we have is the Lich King. It is an 8 mana 8/8 taunt legendary, death rattle, death knight, everything. Oh my god, this card is absolutely bonkers. At the end of your turn, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. And you guys have seen already all the Death Knight cards. I've showed them earlier in the video. This card is so good. It has insane synergy with any Enzov deck. You can play this card in Enzov Priest, Enzov Druid, Enzov Paladin, Enzov Mage, Enzov Hunter, Enzov Warrior. But not just in that, this card is just insane in general. You can play this in the new Taunt Druid as well. This card is so powerful, you can play this in any control deck. 8 mana 8/8 Taunt is great, and it has a huge upside. It is basically a good Ysera, a better Ysera for lower mana cost. And it has Taunt and better stats arguably. Beautiful. Beautiful card. The next card we have is a warrior card. It is a 5 mana 3/3 Death Revenant. Battlecry again, +1/+1 for each damaged minion. So this is another card that has great synergy with the Enrage mechanic. Warrior has gotten a lot of other cards that have synergy with that effect. I'm not quite sure how good this card is. This card needs to get at least, I would say, +3/+3 to be playable, to have a 5 mana 6/6, and it seems to be very difficult to get 3 damaged minions on the board. Just to have 3 minions on the board is already difficult, but 3 damaged ones just to have a 5 mana 6/6, why not just play the Bittertide Hydra instead? I think this card is unplayable even in the new Enraged Warrior, so I don't think we will see this card being played too much. The next card we have is another Murloc card. It's very exciting to see all the creative ways Blizzard comes up to create new Murlocs that don't just completely break the game. It is Dreadscale Knight. It's a Murloc Knight, I don't know. A Death Knight Murloc. A 1 mana 1/1 Murloc with lifesteal. The thing with lifesteal is the weaker the attack and the weaker the health, the weaker lifesteal gets. So lifesteal on this card is worth like nothing. So it's pretty much 1 mana 1/1, a bad wisp, but it is a Murloc. The only real use for this card, which I see currently, is to enable Corpse Taker. It is a new card from the expansion. So basically, if you have Taunt, Divine Shield, Lifesteal and Wind Fury, you get all the effects on the Corpse Taker, and this would be a Lifesteal enabler in Paladin. If you play Curator, you have a Murloc that you can draw, you have an additional 1-drop, and it enables your Lifesteal, maybe for that. I don't know. Other than that, this card doesn't seem too powerful. The next card we have is Drain Soul. It is a 2 mana Warlock spell. Lifesteal, deal 2 damage to a minion. So this is a card that Warlock really needed. After Dark Bomb rotated out of Standard, Warlock really struggled with removing smaller minions from the board. Cards like Warx are very powerful for a reason. Warlock doesn't have any efficient 2 mana removal spell, and finally we get one. And this fixes also another issue Warlock has, life generation. So this card is very good at taking out smaller minions and to restore your health. This card might actually bring Control Warlock back into the game. The next card we have is Drukhari Enchanter, another neutral minion. 3 mana 1/5, your end of turn effects trigger twice. So there's a plenty of cards that work together with this card. Like Isharash or Ysera. Just plenty of cards that have end of turn effects. Is this card viable? I'm not so sure, because the combo seems to be very hard to pull off. This card will definitely see play in meme decks or in Wild, where you have Emperor Thaurissan, where you just get double reduction, seems very powerful. But in Standard, this card might not make the cut. It's an okay card, but too difficult to pull it off. The next card we have is Arrogant Crusader. It is a Paladin class card, 4 mana 5/2, Death Rattle. If it's your opponent's turn, summon a 2/2 Ghoul. So we get a lot of these in your opponent's turn Death Rattle effects, which are very cool. This card still counts as a Death Rattle minion towards your ends off. I think this card is underwhelming, even if you get the Death Rattle off. A 4 mana 5/2 that gets you a 2/2 Ghoul is not too powerful. It is also a conditional effect on top of it. I think this card is just an arena balancer, how people like to call these cards, not a pack filler, because it is a class card. So this is how I would rate this card. So the next card we have is another Paladin class spell. It is Dark Conviction. It is a 2 mana spell. Set a minion's attack and health to 3. So very cool design. It is a keeper of Uldaman without the man. What is very interesting about this card, it is very flexible, but this gives us actually alternatives for Control Paladin, but also for aggressive Paladins to running cards like Doomsayer. Because since the beginning of time we just have to run Doomsayer in Control Paladin, just because we don't have any alternatives. But since they introduced Righteous Protector, a new Paladin 1-drop, this would be a perfect follow-up for it. You can buff this card, which is difficult to remove, the Righteous Protector, because it has Divine Shield as a 1-drop. You can afterwards buff it to a 3/3 minion, which is quite powerful. If the opponent didn't remove the Divine Shield, it is basically a 2 mana 3/3 Taunt Divine Shield, which is pretty strong. But the Dark Conviction can also be used as a late game removal card, or if your opponent plays a big One Cleave, you just make it back to a 3/3. It is also a great card that synergizes very well with the Paladin weapon for 3 mana, Rallying Blade for example. Very cool and flexible card. It might not make the cut in all the Control Paladin decks, but this card, the flexibility alone will help us play this card in many different decks. So very powerful card overall, I really like it, and I will also play it myself. The next card we have is another neutral beast card. The next card we have is another neutral minion. It is Bloodworm. It is a 5 mana 4/4 with Lifesteal, and it has the beast tag. So this card is interesting for multiple reasons. First of all, it is a beast minion, so it is relevant for Curator in all classes, and it is relevant for Hunter. You can buff this card with Houndmaster to make it a 6/6 Lifesteal Taunt threat. Hunter has no life generation, which is one of the many issues Control Hunter has. Having a beast that regenerates your health might be very relevant. On top of it, this card could be another Corpse Taker enabler. So many great synergies for this card. might see play. This card enables many synergies. The next card we have is another druid card, Strong Shell Scavenger. It is a 4 mana 2/3 battlecry, give your taunt minions +2/+2. I think this card is bad for many reasons. Compare this to a Houndmaster. The biggest issue with this card is it's too weak as a standalone. So playing a 4 mana 2/3 would just be horrible. So it always requires you to have a board for this to get value. But on top of that, you need to have a taunt minion on the board for this to get value. I really don't like this card, and I don't think this will see a lot of play. The next card we have is Tusker Fisherman, another neutral card. It is a 2 mana 2/3 battlecry, give a friendly minion spell damage +1. So this card is okay, I would say. This card is not bad at all, because it is a 2-drop with an upside. And whenever you have a 2-drop with an upside, it is a playable card. There's a lot of lifesteal spells in the game right now, like the Spirit Lash for Priest, for example, and they synergize with spell power. There's not a lot of great spell power cards in the game, on the other hand. So having this card, which is a rather solid spell power card, might be very relevant. I'm not quite sure yet in which decks you would run this card. Maybe in Mage, if any. But definitely interesting. Might be just a filler card, but I wouldn't be surprised if this card sees occasionally play. The next card we have is Spellweaver. It is a 6 mana neutral card, 4 attack, 4 health, spell damage +2. This card is just another filler card. It is not very good and won't see any play in Constructed. The next card we have is the Bone Baron. It is a rogue class card. It is a 5 mana 5/5. Death Rattle, add 2 1/1 skeletons to your hand. This card is super exciting because Blizzard is really pushing the Enzov/Jade/Control Rogue with this expansion. This card is very interesting for one specific reason. If you play a Control Rogue, you really avoid playing the combo cards because all the minions you play are usually very expensive and don't help you combo right cards like Eviscerate or Elvin Van Cleef. And if you have very cheap minions like Skeletons, which you get from this card, you can just keep playing them and enable Eviscerates and Wildspine Slayers and Van Cleef. I think this card will be a staple card in Control Rogue. Super cool card. I really like the design of it. So the next card is Doomerang, a rogue spell. It is a 1 mana rogue spell. Throw your weapon at a minion, it deals its damage and then return it to your hand. It pretty much does what the text says. You use your weapon and throw it at a minion, and it works with lifesteal, it works with poisonous, so that's very, very cool. It works with the new 3 mana weapon with immune, so you use a charge and then you throw the weapon at a minion, you kill it, don't take any phase damage, and then you get the weapon back. I think this card is very powerful, very flexible because it costs 1 mana. It will see play in all sorts of different rogue decks. Very, very cool card. The next card we have is Raigul. It is a neutral minion, 3 mana, 3/1. Definitely, if it's your opponent's turn, summon a 2/2 Ghoul. So we've seen multiple minions with that effect to summon a 2/2 Ghoul as a Death Rattle. I think this is another filler card. It won't see too much play in Standard, even in Enzov decks. The next card we have is Exploding Bloatbat. It is a Hunter class card. It is a 4 mana 2/1 Beast. Death Rattle deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. So the first thing that comes to mind is it works great with the new 1 mana Hunter spell. Play that, trigger a friendly's minion's Death Rattle. So basically you can play this card for 5 mana and then play that, deal 2 damage to opponent's board, and then you wait for him to trade something and then you get the other effect. Seems very sketchy to me. Even cards like Explosive Trap, which Hunter has already access to, are very sketchy board clear cards just because it gives your opponent the chance to play around them. A chance to silence it, a chance to just, effectively trade into it, a chance to buff his board. With cards like Gentle Megasaur, give all your minions Divine Shield. Yeah, a lot of ways. Priest, for example, can Potion of Madness into it and then kill your board instead, because the stats on this card are also very sketchy. I think this card is very bad, even for Control Hunter. And do you want to get this card back from Enzov? Not really, right? It would be a 4 mana 2/1 that you get back. Not too crazy. I think this card is pretty bad just because the way how you want to clear the opponent's board is immediately, not give the opponent a chance to own you instead. So I think this is a pretty bad card. I wouldn't be surprised if people still play it if you play Control Hunter, just because you need board clears, and this is one of the better board clears Hunter has access to. So the next card we have is the Warlock class card, Bloodreaver Gul'dan. It is a 10 mana hero card, and it is the most expensive hero card of all the hero cards that were introduced. Battlecry summon all friendly demons that died this game. So very powerful effect, and it changes your hero power to Siphon Life. Hero power, lifesteal, deal 3 damage. So from all the hero cards, probably the most powerful hero power, because you deal 3 damage and you heal for free. That is a difference of 6. That is insane. It gives you 5 armor as all the other hero cards, and you just summon a bunch of demons. There are not that many crazy good demons in the game that you would play in your deck, but we have gotten there this Despicable Dreadlord, which is a new demon card, which is very powerful. We would definitely play this card in a Control Warlock twice. Besides that, you really wanna, because this is very similar to Enzov, how the effect works, we would really like to summon taunt minions. So right now the only taunt demon that we have is Voidwalker, if I'm not mistaken. You would probably run double Voidwalker. It would definitely make a lot of fun to make this card work. Control Warlock might actually be a thing. I wouldn't be too surprised by that. It's a very cool and powerful card. Warlock will probably not be trashed here, hopefully, because of all the new cards Warlock got. I'm very excited to play this one. And we finally arrived at the final card of today's review video. It is the final hero card, Scourgelord Garrosh. It is a 8 mana hero card, Battle Cry, equip a 4/3 Shadowmon that also damages adjacent minions. So a 4/3 that kills pretty much 3 targets. We don't really have, that's like a cleave weapon. Super powerful. Should be worth like 7 mana at least, a card like that. And on top of it you change your hero power to Bladestorm, deal 1 damage to all minions. And it has great synergy with all the new warrior minions like Rotface, Death Revenant and the animated Berserker. Very cool minion, will definitely see play in my opinion. I know that a lot of people are burning to play this new card in a new version of Control Warrior with all the AoE synergies. Just a very cool card, very cool finisher, enables a lot of the synergies. We'll even see play in a more aggressive Tempo Warrior deck, also in Control Warrior. And also the art is amazing of this card. It's just super cool, the emotes are super cool. What else do you want? And that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching it till the very end. Make sure to check out the last remaining review video, which I will release tomorrow with the final 13 to 15 cards. Thanks so much once again, and see you guys tomorrow. Peace!